So we've got a new little project starting today. We actually might start tomorrow, but it's going to be some custom built bunk beds for the new kids room. We haven't posted a lot of videos in the last few months just because we've been so busy with the move and moving from our old house to the new house, and we've done so many projects around the house. And I kind of wish I would have documented some of those projects that we did, because there were some cool things that we did. We completely ripped out the kitchen, we redid all the flooring, repainted the whole house, we did some cool lighting in the ceiling. We're working on a pool right now. And then on top of that, Erika's pregnant, which was totally unexpected. But one thing that I know I wanted to do with this home is do a really cool bedroom for the kids. And that's what we're gonna start today. I'm kind of bad at planning all this out, but I do have some preliminary designs. I used a friend. I sent him the dimensions of the bedroom for the kids' room, and he put together a design that Erika and I both liked, and that's what we're gonna work on. We're gonna do 2 bunk beds on each side of the room, and then we're gonna have a loft area in the middle with a sofa underneath and kind of a play area, hangout spot up top. So it's gonna be an interesting project. It's probably gonna take us a few weeks. And full disclosure, I've got a good friend helping me out with this project because there's no way my back was gonna hold up. Plus, with my regular work schedule, it was just never gonna happen, and Erika wanted to make sure that this project was done at least before the baby arrives. So hope you follow along, hope everybody's doing well, and please be sure to like, share, subscribe. I'll put as much information as I can in the description of this video about the details of the materials I used. But I think if you're looking to do something similar to this, you'll probably just do a single bunk bed with 2 beds. In our situation, we're kind of going a little crazy with the 2 bunk beds and the loft. So here we go. Let's get this started. So we are one day into building this new bunk bed project for the kids. What we're doing here is we're basically building a kind of a loft fort area in the middle for the kids, and then on each side of the room we're going to be building bunk beds. The cost of lumber these days is just ridiculous. I'm kind of regretting using these 2x6s, but I really wanted this to feel kind of beefy and solid, and this really is solid. If you followed our videos on the previous home when we built that loft for the kids, that was way over engineered. I could have probably parked a car up there, and I'm starting to feel the same way about this. This is way more sturdy than I think it needs to be, but I'd rather have it be stronger. And to give you an idea of what we're doing here, this is going to be drywalled. We're going to have a ladder that goes up on the end of each side. This is going to have a carpeted area on top there with a railing along the front here, a railing on the sides, and then we'll have a sofa for the kids underneath to sit in. That's it. This is day 1. And by the way, on this video, I've got my friend David helping me with a lot of this stuff. I've been so busy lately, and David brings a ton of experience. If you've been following, I haven't posted really many videos of the new home that we're in and some of the updates we've done up to this point. But David's been a huge help in helping me accomplish so many things, because a lot of this stuff can be fairly time consuming. But I'm hoping that this center loft area is going to be about a 3-day project, and then each bunk bed is probably going to be 2 to 3 days, depending on how extensive and detailed we get into it. But I'll keep you posted on the updates. One of the things we did in here too, if you've been following our other videos on some of the suggestions I've made when it comes to buying new construction through a builder, is we did a J-box. We did a J-box in the middle of the room on a switch through the builder, just so we wouldn't have to cut up all the drywall after we moved in. And then from that power, we basically ran the recessed lighting that we put in, which we put in 6 recessed lighting. And we still have power up there to maybe do a fan or something else down the road if we want. But the builder basically did 2 wires for each J box here to the switch. Alright, so working on the stairs here, and we ran these through the planer. If you don't have a planer, obviously you could sand those, or you could buy a little bit better quality wood. But this is just 2x6 framing lumber. Those steps are going to be exposed, and I think the railing is going to be exposed, but everything else we're going to do with drywall. If you haven't checked in with us for a while, we haven't posted a video in a few months because there's been a lot going on. Erika's pregnant, if you didn't know, totally unexpected, and we moved. We sold our previous home, we moved into another home a couple months, and we've been doing a ton of renovations. So hopefully you enjoy the next few videos. We're going to be doing some videos about some of the upgrades we're doing, like this loft that we're building for the kids, as well as the new bunk beds and some of the upgrades that we've done in the kitchen already. I'm going to do a video on this TV, and I was hoping that Erika would have been gone to work, and I was going to switch the 75 out with the 85 and see if she even noticed. But that didn't work. She noticed. I'm going to do a video in a few days about this new new refrigerator we bought, which has really been impressive. And then this is the kitchen that we completely redid, which I'm not going to go back and do many videos about this because we've already done the kitchen, but super excited about the oven that we have ordered. We're still waiting for the microwave. I wish I was just more involved with this video. I'm not someone on YouTube that just makes a living from YouTube. I have a regular job, and so that's why I've been outsourcing this work. I feel confident that I'd be able to do this. I've done similar things like this in previous videos and other stuff, but David, my friend, Juan Carlos, has been helping me a lot with this project, basically doing most of it. The framing here, we've got a roof pitch right there, and then we've got an opening here and an opening there. And basically, it's gonna be kind of like, this is gonna be open. We're gonna have siding here, and then a barn door and a barn door. So we're gonna do a little bit of drywall here on the bunk beds. That's why we're gonna get everything drywalled that needs to be painted and do the siding. We're using some siding here on the upper portions and the post. And also underneath, I'm using 3/4 inch plywood, so that's pretty darn strong. But depending on what you're using, if you're using 1/2 inch plywood, then you'd probably want to run some 2x4s here just for some additional support. Taking a little break from the work we're doing upstairs, and I'm working on the barn doors for the bunk beds. We're gonna need 2 sets of barn doors because there's 2 bunk beds. So I'm just using some of the extra plywood that we have from the bunk beds, and that's going to be the base of the door. And then I've got some 1x6s that I'm going to be cutting in half. If you don't have a table saw, then just go with, like, you know, I think, like, because the barn doors are pretty small, like 1x3s are actually pretty perfect. Because the 1x4 I think is a little bit too big, because the barn doors, at least I'm making, are only 19 inches wide and 32 inches high. So keep that in mind. And I think with the barn doors, obviously, you know, you can make a more rustic look, or you can make something that looks a little more modern, a little cleaner. I'm not quite sure what we're going to do with ours, but you know, you can definitely have some fun with it and kind of add a little style to whatever you do. Quick little update on the tools that I have here in my shop. I have a planer, and I have a table saw, and I have a miter saw. I realized that, like, you know, when I started making random stuff and I would watch videos on YouTube, people would make some pretty cool things, but they'd also have some incredible tools that they were using to make stuff. So I think this bunk bed project is something that you can make. You don't need a table saw, you don't need a planer. If you only have one tool or one item to use, the miter saw is by far my favorite thing. Probably the thing I use most often besides my cordless tools. The sides of the door here. I'm just gonna cut some pieces down using the top. And then my idea, because Aiden is gonna be in one bunk bed and Ethan's gonna be in the other bunk bed, was maybe to do like their initials in the door. I don't know. Pretty simple doors. I'm just not quite sure what I'm gonna do in the middle here. So this is what I got going on right now. I put in a little putty just to cover the nail holes and sanded them down a little bit. So I think for the time being I'm just gonna leave them like this. Forget the initials and see what Erika thinks, because knowing Erika, I'll do the initials and then she won't like it. So I'll just leave it as is. I think right now it's a nice clean look.
I want this to go like here because this goes to the corner where there's no anything covering this part. So we need this to go out.
Okay.
And we don't want it like this because it's more out than the other place.
So I told David I was going to come down to the garage and work on the ladders, which I'm not really loving. So I was thinking of originally doing a ladder, just a traditional kind of bunk bed ladder, but Erika doesn't want that. She wants it attached. She just doesn't want it taking up space. So then I was thinking then a bunk bed, just a ladder built into the bunk bed on the side like we did for the loft. But I'm finding that with the loft area, it's a little difficult to climb up, and I'm just thinking occasionally there might be an older person that sleeps in the bunk bed, and I don't want them falling off the bunk bed, getting out of in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom, or even with the kids. So I'm gonna try and do something with the treads of the ladder, where we have like alternating treads that are a little bit thicker, to maybe see if that would make it a little easier. Cut these 5 legs down. I'm gonna go with a square step, and I've sanded them down to smooth them out a little bit. Sanded around the edges just to give it a little better feel. So we'll see how that works. A little update on the bunk beds. Just to go over a few things. Taking a break today, just do a little cleanup work down the garage because the garage is a mess. But I wanted to give you some of what I've been thinking as we've been building these. It has taken a little longer than I expected, but I think it's going to be well worth it. The kids are super excited. Erika's excited about it. So we've got here the roof line. Well, I'll start from the bottom here and work my way up. We've got obviously this siding, this shiplap siding that I picked up at the local big box store. And because this is a little bit more expensive, I'm using this on the exterior where you can see it, and then on the inside we're doing drywall, and on the inside walls here down below we're also doing drywall. Drywall is much more affordable, and so in the next day or so we're gonna use some drywall mud to fill up all the seams and hopefully let that dry for a day or two, and then we'll start to fill these holes too, all the little nail holes. On the inside here, I'm using the drywall corners, just the plastic drywall corners. But on the outside with the siding, I'm using the PVC corners. Instead of using the wood option, the PVC corners were like $5 for 8-foot corner, so it's about half the price. As I mentioned in an earlier video, we ran all the electrical. We have the light up here installed, which I need to get a bulb for. I'm gonna buy some Wi-Fi color changing bulbs for that, so it'll be a little bit different. What I'm using here on the edge are just some fence pickets, and then I'm gonna paint those black. We have the roofing material is just the asphalt shingles. I picked up a box. I actually picked up 2 boxes, so if you're doing one bunk bed, 1 box should be enough. You can not overlap them as tightly as the instructions would say. If you're doing a real roof, you can have some more spacing, because you get about 33 square feet in a box, and so you need about 38 or so square feet to do at least the roof area that we did. And then along the edge, I actually did kind of a drip edge. You know, on a traditional home, you'd see a 2-inch drip edge along the roof line. I didn't like the drip edge options that I found because they were sharp, and I know that the kids are going to have their hands up there. You could do away with the drip edge, but for me, I just wanted to kind of make this look as natural, real as possible. But what I ended up using is I used I think that's a 7/8 drywall corner, but it's the corners that are rounded off on one side, so it's very smooth and it's not very sharp. And so that siding right there, along with the drip edge, will be painted black to match the asphalt shingles, and then we have the white. So we're kind of going with a 2-tone black and white look here. In the description of the video, I'll do a breakdown of the materials that I purchase and the hours approximately that I put into this. But keep in mind, it's for 2 bunk beds and this loft area that we're building. So we've done kind of a little bit more of an extensive project than what you may be thinking about doing, but we really wanted to make this a fun spot for the kids to eventually have their friends over. Day for drywall mud with Juan Carlos.
One Carlos Aiden.
And Aiden is helping out with the drywall. We're here at the end of this video, and I'm just going to give you a summary of kind of how we finish things out. We obviously mask everything off. The paint that we used for the bunk beds is the same paint that we used for the walls in the house. Just to keep things a little bit easier, we basically just taped off, covered the carpet, covered the windows, and then we just sprayed everything. There's so many little details about these bunk beds, and this project took longer than I anticipated, and that's why we're kind of finishing this out now, because I don't want to come back in 2-3 months and have this video take forever. But overall, I'm really pleased with the way this turned out. There's some things that I need to do still. There's some details here. I've ordered some house numbers that I think I'm gonna put on each house, and I think I'm just gonna do it. The numbers are gonna be basically the kids' birthdays. I'll put a link in the description of the video for the hardware. This is basically just furniture barn door hardware. Pleased with the way this came out, but I'm not loving these doors, so I think I'm gonna redo the doors. I was originally thinking of painting these, and so now that I'm not painting them, the plywood I used here in the center isn't really the best plywood for staining. So I'm just gonna redo these, redo the doors, stain these. I bought some wood letters that are gonna go on each door that will basically represent the Aiden and Ethan's initials. The wiring and the electricity is done. We have a switch down here for the light. One thing I might consider doing is putting another switch up here. Overall, I think the bunk beds turned out pretty good. The kids are happy. These particular mattresses were thicker than I anticipated them being. So if you're gonna do something like this and you're getting thick mattresses and you don't have a huge opening, like I don't have a big space on each side here, these came basically all vacuum packed. So put the mattress in there before you open it up, because it's going to be hard to get it back in, or think about getting maybe a thinner mattress than the one I purchased, because we had to basically use some tie downs to shrink it down and squeeze it in there. So the other thing is this ladder that I built in that you saw earlier in the video. I like the concept, I like the idea, I just don't like the functionality of it. The ladder over here I really like. It's worked out really well for Ethan. That's the old ladder from our old loft at the old house. The built-in ladder over here that I did for Aiden, I love the style of it and the look, but the functionality of it just is not very practical. We had a little get-together the other day with some kids over, and even with Aiden, going up and down that ladder, especially in the middle of the night, just isn't very practical. This is a lot better, safer option. I just didn't like I didn't like the idea of this ladder just protruding out into the carpet, but it's not that bad, and considering it's so much easier to use than Aiden's ladder over here. So I'm gonna do another one on this side. So in addition to the two bunk beds, we have this loft over here, and this still has a little bit of work to do, but it's almost done. I just need to do a railing on the side, on each side. In the back we're gonna have some railing, and then I have some foam and carpet that I nailed down up there just to make it a little bit more comfortable. Then we're gonna do like a sofa in here, and then we've got some shelves on the inside that we need to finish out. So this is just gonna be kind of like a cool little hangout spot. I think that's it. I think overall the project was a success. I'll try to put as much of the budget information and what I purchased in the description of this video. But I think every application is going to be a little bit different, and you just kind of have to figure it out as you go. Realistically, this took 90 man hours to do, but we had two bunk beds, two separate bunk beds, and then this loft.